But then those last chance major teams, they're used to clutching up. I mean, they.
よし。
Yeah, and one team that's synonymous with clutch, Steno and Lucy. I was speaking to a few people earlier. A few people were around me. I was like, who do you think's going to win today? I think they were Danish. They said Steno and Lucy. And they're Danish as well, of course. This is a fantastic. I'm excited to see how this duo. Yeah, give it a round of applause.
Wow.
Cheer, why not? Yeah, give it. Because, I mean, these guys are fantastic. I really love watching them play. They just seem to know how each other plays so well. They vibe off each other so well as well. And, of course, they have LAN experience as well. They did so great at Gamers Day. I think it was last year they did so great. So I'm excited to see if they can continue and bring that LAN experience, that chemistry that they have in a LAN environment to this event. Because, I mean, they have
誤幕に今日脅されたのでね、配信します。
Let's say, you know, we know we have these 5 games. Do we just send everything?
世界大会一緒に見よう。
We've got to make top 25. You could argue maybe just try and do something and kind of keep any kind of strategy
これで見た方がいい
secret
か
and
な
just
と思っ
hope
て。
that you can kind of save that for tomorrow. With only 5 games though.
なんかね、
Is
あれ
that
で見
enough
てもいいんだ
wiggle
け
room,
ど。
man? I feel like it's just not. You
YouTube
just got to go full send
YouTube の
now.
やつ、コピー
Nah,
ペ
I
ース
mean, if you're holding back now, I think you're trolling a little bit, honestly, right? Like,
I mean,
あ、寝ます
for
あ、
sure.
オッケ
And
ー。
that's
お
the
や
thing
す
though
み。
about Fortnite, and I love the fact that you're talking about strategy because I feel like we have 2 major different play styles, right? People who like to play a little bit more passive, and then we have those aggressive duos, ones that are looking for those one pop-off games with 10+ eliminations. I'll be excited to see which duos kind of pull out each one of those strategies.
Yeah, and of course, I think you have to just use the strategies that you practice for the first couple of games. If things go wrong and you have to pull out the grand final strategy, then do it. Because if you don't do it now, you might not even make it to the grand final. So there's no point in hiding them away. We saw some great strats yesterday from Zagu and Pepper with using the shield mushrooms to get some extra surge. Some great ideas from these teams that we haven't seen on other regions, and that's what this is all about. Who's going to pull what out of the hat?
I love that too. I mean, social media yesterday and even today was just like, what is their strategy? Yes, that's what we want to see. We want to see what they're thinking, what they're cooking, and then come out tomorrow.
YouTube さ、
And that
や
could
ろう
be
かな。
like the difference maker.
YouTube の方を映すっていう世界大会のそれでもいいんだよね。
To hit those shots. So, you know, obviously.
YouTube の方映してみる一回。どうやってやるのか忘れたけど。あ、こっちで変えるのかな。フォートナイトじゃなくてシーンのとこで。これで変なの開いたら怖いな。できてないな、配信。あれ？ウィンドウキャプチャーでさ、大きさ合わないってこれ。これ合わせるのだるいって。これ合わないんだよね、うまく。ほら。だる。 ちょっとオーバーしちゃうけど。まあ、いっか。もうなんかフォートナイトの方もバグっちゃったよ。ね、ゲームキャプチャーもバグったね。クソが。なんだこれマジでいろいろとバグっちょる。もうだるすぎや。こうやな、こうやな。でもちょっといいや、ちょっと出ていいや。これで、ちょっと待って、なんかいろいろと設定しずに来たから。重い。オッケー。どうだ？あ、ごまくんちゃんとやったよ。
Some of these contested battles right out of the game already interrupting this
Fortniteの方の
off-spawn battle.
音源切れ
That's
ば
gonna force Adapter
20で
back,
聞こえちゃう
and
か
he
ら。
might have to go ahead and loot. He only has one and hold on to
で
one spot, and as soon as they
こっ
realize
ち
it's
切っ
safe,
て
they go back to the game plan.
Up at the far north side, Giannis immediately heading for this crude harbor.
Much space to work with. There's so much loot to share. As long as they don't get caught off
これでどう？
guard,
ごま
it's
くん
business
OK？
as usual.
But at the same time, there is so much traffic inside of Mega City, and as far as the vault is concerned, there's definitely something worth fighting over. You have to
音量
expect
聞こえる？
that
これで。
regardless of where that high cart spawn is
した
at,
よ。
people are going to be
ごめ
looking
ん。
to make sure to
勉強
take
しなが
out
ら。
whoever actually secures that vault key card.
Oh, wow. It's actually, they weren't necessarily contested. They were taken out on their drop. You saw Video go ahead and get that reboot card, trying to give his teammate a second chance at life. Oak is here, ready to put some respect on his name, already
いいね、
getting
完
one
成が。俺もこん
elimination.
な完成受けてゲームし
He's
たい。
looking for another, but
Okay.
first he has a stop to make. Let's clean up this loot. Let's try to get as jam-packed as possible. You see the fallen teammate, Deguro is going to be right above him. He knows no matter what, as he
いや、もう
continues
イケメ
his
ンす
journey,
ぎる。
he's going to
もうプレイヤー
have
が
to。try to get that reboot
もう惚
card
れて
because
まうや
doing
ろ。
this alone
普通に。
is not something anybody wants to face.
But at the same time, that siphon there for Okis definitely gave him a nice little bit to
Okis か。
work with in comparison to Dieta, who doesn't have shields.
こういうの
If
学ぶの
Okis
大
wants
事
to
だからね、
pressure
みん
this,
な。
he's definitely more than capable of doing so, but it seems as though his mentality right now is just to stay on the move. Being in this
無理
sort
し
of
て
solo
戦わない。
situation, deep in the jungle biome here at Rumble Ruins, especially in this lower elevation
え
territory,
今
he might
シェロン
be
さん
able
いた
to
ね、
sneak up
上
on
に。
some other teams.
Yeah, I like the way you mentioned
今の映
Surge
して
is
ほ
one
し
of
い
the
な。
first things because
キャナダ、キャナ
yesterday,
ダ。
if it's shown us anything, Surge is not the easiest thing to come by in a lobby
Yeah.
like this. And uncontested this time around, Canal and Agers getting a chance to fight off spawn, and immediately they go to what they know works from the past, trying to get Surge underneath their own belt,
Vico
so that
って
way they
昨日
don't
落ちた
have
の？
to worry about it too much later in the game. But Vico and Pink, another team that has experience from
マジ
day
か。
one, contested by Acorn and Cold. This time around, they're ready to take their fights to their opponent. And on the other side of things, it is going to be Bully and Shadow.
But look at this height battle as well between Pink and Bully, both of them trying to provide cover fire
パットの
for
選手や
their
ね。
fraggers down below. As far as Vico and Shadow are concerned, a little bit of a pause here, not directly trying to challenge. Seems as though Vico is trying to look for a regroup circumstance, but again, you have to keep some form of a barrier between yourself and another team. Bully just trying to do what he can as far as making sure that he's able to suppress Pink in the process, but they're not trying to give up any sort of resources for free here.
Yeah, and you can kind of already see in the mini-map just a little bit. You've seen it here. Bully and Shadow, they had no intention on trying to take that engage. They split up to try to get even more surge early on in the game before the zone does get too small. Snazy and Podesai probably have the fan favorites on their side in the stadium. I hear them loud in the crowd already, and they're trying to go ahead and use that energy to fuel them here today. A little bit of a misstep on day one, but they're picking themselves up, dusting themselves off, and ready to put on a show.
Just because you stumble doesn't mean you fall, and it's got to be such an invigorating feeling knowing that you have so many fans in the venue just cheering for you every step of the way. It's not even like these guys are getting a piece of the action right yet. They're just moving.
ムキムキパパいらねえ今。
あ、
これこれ。エリートのさ、PXLAZED、こいつ俺応援してる。これ俺の推し。
Polarized teamed up with Scented
これマジでうまい
over
か
on the
ら。
other side. They're taking the split that in day one belonged to another team.
ガチでこの人に勝ってほしい。
Strategy use this to try to qualify. We'll figure it out later because that's the biggest thing.
あ、ごめんね。
At this stage in the game, there's no
聞こえてないの
reason
か
to
声ちっちゃ
save
くて俺
all
の。
your secrets for that
そういうこ
championship
と？
Sunday because you have to be able to make it there. Mini Miner said it himself to open up the show. Because what good are those
ジャイモンいる
strategies?
ジャイモン。
What good are those tricks underneath your sleeves
シェロン
if
と
you're
ム
not
キムキ
able
パパ
to
の
use
近く
them
に
in
敵
the
がいるね。
biggest moments possible?
Trouble now. Not for Podesai.
聞こえてる？
Just yet, kind of lurking around this bush. He knows that he's got a couple contenders down beneath him.
俺も寝ながら見たいからさ、1時間ぐらいやったら終わるわ。
Kind of tough to try and fight that uphill battle quite literally. So instead, just continue to wait things out, wait for a better opportunity to look for a rotation out. It can be difficult as well when you're playing right here on the edge side of where these zone pulls are happening because, again, for Podesai, it seems as though the intent is just to prioritize positioning.
ああ、観戦席の方ね。
Change their positioning
なんか言
overall
ってるよな、ほんと。
to another King Phaser.
彼たちは頑張れと
You
言
can
ってい
already
ま
see they're
す。
over toward Shattered Slab. Zone is pulling all the way towards the eastern side of the map. They have a long journey to go, and you can even see it at the edge of Mega City here on Pink and Vico. So they have even more rotations to go later on in the game. But for now, it's Batman, Booga, and Rapid. who beat them to the punch. The top of the hill, just west of Mega City. And they immediately got out of Mega City because that's one of the things we talked about to start the show is how contested it actually is. They could easily take a building on top, but they're taking a little bit of the safer route or what they thought would be because right now Pink and Vico are slowly but surely looking like they're going to try and sneak up, see if they have any opportunity to take over. But if you can see in the mini map, they're going to choose to go the other way. It's not something they want to battle this
昨
early
日
on
ブー
in
が
the
通
game.
ったのかスレッ
You
ズ
can
と。
already see some shots though coming from a little bit of a distance here. Rapid just trying to be wary of his surroundings, and it makes perfect sense why you'd want to ditch from Mega City ASAP when there's 4 separate teams landing there. Again, it's just so much traffic to actually deal with. So why risk it when every single game can be so important? I think for Rapid and Batman Booga, not necessarily getting max resources, max materials. It's not as
この人は
bad
バットマンブーガーを
as
褒め
it
ていま
might initially
す。
look because they can always find the refreshes after the fact. Because again, Surge Storm,
これ
Storm
泥
Surge
つけるん
strategies
だ。
were definitely an issue for a lot of teams in day 1. And this is day 2. It's not like the competition's gotten any less.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of these teams taking that prime real
エ
estate
ムさんいる、エ
to
ム。
where
ザ
they
チさんと
know
エムいる。
players are going
あれだ
to
わ。
rotate into.
エムよ。
Neil, we've seen him go for the reboot card onto Mr. Savage. Uncontested Northern Nets. That's a no-brainer that he's going to get him back
やっぱ
into the
さ、みん
game.
なつけてる
Back
ね。
up as a duo. But as you can see in the mini-map, they are split up.
ね、
They
アベ、
called
昨
out
日
the
のおかげ
strategy to
で
start
ア
the
ジア
game.
ワンチャ
They're
ン、
trying to
サベ
cover
ジ、
more
かっ
ground.
こい
They're
い。
trying to take more space away. This also allows them to get better
昨
lines
日
of
のおか
sight
げでね、
around
スポッ
the
トライト
map
当たって
for
るよな。
their Storm
本当に
Surge. They already know what has happened in the past when
ザジ
Storm
さん、エム
Surge
さん
is
してる
slacking.
から、
It
サベ
forces
ジ
you
狙
to
われ
make
ないことだ
plays.
け。
It's almost like you don't have control over the game, and they are trying to do their best to keep control of their own destiny.
It's definitely something that has haunted Mr. Savage and Vidil all chapter long. As far as Major 3 was concerned, even leading into that last chance Major, where we saw them switching up their drop spot even over to Drift Ridge, just because of the fact that Mr. Savage is mentioning he doesn't like to be contested. Sure, they got it uncon then, but it's still never easy, whether you're uncon or contested, as far as establishing a solid Storm Surge strategy.
Yep, Fanayan and Moneymaker. Moneymaker probably one of our youngest players competing
Moneymaker.
here today, showing that
めちゃ
anything
くちゃ
is
ちっちゃく
truly
ないマニーメーカ
possible
ー。
as long as you
13
have a
歳ギリギリ
chance.
ぐらい。
They've given themselves just that, an opportunity on the biggest stage
め
in
っちゃちっ
the
ちゃくない
world when it comes to Fortnite. And you can already see the augment that he's choosing out. First assault, scope salvo,
マジか。
two of the biggest ones that are
これ
needed
からもあ
when
る
it
子が
comes
いる
to
って。
Storm Surge.
これ大人じゃなかったって。めっちゃ体ちっちゃいやん。
Those shots.
Like seeing this from Kitos as well.
お、
あ、
あ、ゴリョウ君、やあ、ありがとう。ユマさん戦ってる。ジャイモンさんとユマさんが。頑張れ、ユマジャイモン。誰出てるん？今回はね、ユマジャイモン、あと、昨日落ちた人たち、待って、いうこと結構削れてるな。昨日落ちたステインで言い出す、シェロン、なんだっけ、シェロンと、あれ、いろんな人出てる、いろんな人、結構いろんな人出てる。
this spot to try to pick up the scraps, figure out whatever is left along. But it
めっ
seems
ちゃ
that,
日
you
本
know,
人に見え
taking
る
a
この
lot of
人。
time towards Slappy
違
Shores.
うけどね。
My only question for them is how is their surge? Because a lot of the teams are on the western side of the zone for now. They haven't begun to rotate over towards Slappy Shores. Not a lot of teams landing here right out of the
日
gate.
本6持
So
って
for
る。
them,
もしかして
that's
サージの
probably
ため
what's
に。
on their mind
違う
right now.
上に
We've
他の
looted up. We've got everything we need. Now we just need Storm Surge.
いい子た
And
ちめ
we're
っちゃ行
talking
くね
about。Storm Surge so often for Pink and
これか。
Vico.
いい
This is going to be a massive
大きいぞ
contributing
一瞬で
factor.
潰す
Getting that elimination onto Oak is just
あ、ラ
taking
ル
full
さんドックさ
advantage
んど
of
う
that
出てんのか
2v1
な
situation.
わかんね
And that's something that's not necessarily going to be easiest to come by at this stage of the game. And for Rapid and Batman Booga, again, we revisit, we talk about the fact they left Mega City so early, and they just haven't managed yet to find that pressure situation to actually secure eliminations for the refreshes that they would like. And they don't necessarily have time to just farm resources either, because there's other teams moving in at this point. There's other teams already
ウィキシー
establishing
さんめちゃくちゃ応援したいけ
positioning
ど
off of earlier
見てないま
rotations.
だ
So if you try to expend your
公式
time
配信
finding resources,
ミラー配
you're
信だか
just
ら
going to keep getting lit up.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at 7-man's inventory now, you can already see they won the ball over towards Relentless Retreat, but it's a little unorthodox. Typically, you would grab something to pack a punch, whether it's a Sharp Tooth, an Infiltrator, or even a Maven, but he's going to go without it for now, hoping that that Mythic Stinger does more than enough damage in a moment's notice to be able to survive. It all depends on how you control that recoil, honestly, because I
エイムさんいる
remember that
あ
thing
れ
go
上
burr.
エイムさん
It's so obvious that the intention,
いやいや
though, is that up close and personal battle. The question is, will they actually manage to force themselves into that type of situation? And Rift Island can definitely be a
メロもいるじゃん
location where we'd expect those battles to come.
やばい
But
削られて
even
る
all
頑張れ
throughout day one, we hardly saw any sort of contestation
やばい
over this Rift Island. Centered on the way up, though, definitely having some issues as far as maintaining his shields are concerned. Those are going to be completely depleted. Granted, they have ample shield potions to make up for it, but it's going to be
俺マジ
heads,
で
gotta
応
be
援してるから
fast,
これ
actually looking to contest. They don't want to let this Rift Island objective points go for free.
If only they saw the damage that was put
Yes,
on
yeah,
both
man.
of these players before they even touched down on the island. Surely they would try to take advantage of it. And you can see one man's trash, another man's treasure. Miro and Cooper sneaking up on the side, trying to take away the position. The French team of Snazy and Podesai also willing to contest this Rift Island. And that's one of the things I was thinking. It was very, very passive yesterday. Even solos were able to take it. But as the VOD review goes on, as time passes, players are going to realize there's nobody up there. But when everybody thinks the same, now we have 4 teams on top of Rift Island ready to battle it out. One of them, Henan Vask, 141 above the damage threshold. They're going to be the ones to contain it. Plus 15 points for them. And that's going to be huge because we already see teams qualify with those points of the objectives.
俺には今あれにしか見えんかったけど
Every little bit counts.
言わんけど
But we've gotten a good idea of what's been happening directly in game so far. However, got our mid-game analyst to give us a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Taco. I just want to catch everyone up on our hometown heroes of Steno and Lush, who were able to get an elimination on Mr. Savage before he even hit the ground. Then we saw Steno be able to find a key, which he used to unlock a mythic shotgun. Quickly, they regrouped, built up a surge tower, and as you can see, they have vision on 2 duos of Jamin and Kanata, setting themselves up for an excellent mid and late game. So let's see how they do.
Only time will tell to see how it pays off. They definitely got themselves a good spot in the zone thanks to those plays.
And that's the thing, too, about those teams that are landing more towards the south side. It is so easy for other teams with slightly earlier drops to just pick you off with the elevation difference. It's one primary issue, definitely known at that Naughty Nets area, but you can always expect to bounce back. I mean, we already saw the deal with the successful reboot ban onto Savage, so easy to say that anything can happen in these circumstances.
You can see it started at 181 above the damage threshold. Pamstu and Fatch slowly falling back down, climbing back up, trading shots back and forth. You have their eyes set towards Rift Island. They see a giant monument being built on top as Polaroids actually took down Snazy up above. And this is going to be a huge opportunity for them because they're just looking around. Nobody's directly pushing up onto them, even though they are split. They're just looking for these fights that are already underway and just trying to take advantage of it the best that they can. And just looking at the island right now, I didn't see Scented either.
Miro and Cooper are looking awfully vicious in that position. You can just tell that they are waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. And it's got to be only a matter of time. They can tell that there is so much chaos already unfolding on top of this Rift Island, teams are just constantly under pressure, both outside and right here directly at the Rift Island. But for Vask and for Hen, again, you have to remember, they're the ones who actually secured the capture point here. So they've got some decent loot to go with it. And Miro and Cooper, if there was ever a time to try and take down another team and, you know, get plenty of refills as far as your materials are concerned and your weapons, that is definitely the opportunity.
Yeah, elimination feed is lighting up. A lot of players being forced to interact with each other thanks to that storm surge. Even Duke's trying to rise to the occasion here today.
日本人の潰し合いがマジか。
For the
日本人の潰し合っちゃったな。 マジか。ムキムキパパさんとユマさんやめてくれ。日本人潰しはやめてくれ。日本人として潰すのやめてくれ。マジでやめてくれ。日本人として潰すのだけはやめてくれって。やめてくれ、シェロンさん。日本人としてはいかないよ。いやこれユマさんきついな。日本人同士で潰しちゃってる。さっきから。 シェロンさんめちゃくちゃガチってんなこれも。ほら見てこれここにアジア人3人いるってやばくない？ムキムキさんたちやばいな。これ取れたらでかいけど。いいね、日本人結構映るね。
willing to risk it. Shalom and MK Papa, they got the elimination, or at least they saw it towards the backside of zone, but they didn't have very many materials at all. So it was almost an all or nothing situation if they want to keep as best chance as possible for them to try to stay alive. I see a Vico. I don't see Pink. Got to imagine, yes, he is by himself as a solo, and he's suffering to surge right now. 13 below the threshold. Now he's in zone. Everything coming down. Only a few seconds to try to land the shot that matters, and he's not going to be given that opportunity. Down goes.
ナイスユマさん。ユマさん倒したよ。キャナダキャナダ。ユカさんが倒したね。
Next to Agers, trying to be vigilant with his awareness. And again, so many teams just trying to keep tabs on where everybody else is in the lobby. And players like Bing. There are a decent amount of pressure here, but they will manage to prevail. Nicely timed shots, nicely placed aim as well with that sharp tooth to ensure that they can acquire that elimination.
Yeah, and since he got eliminated altogether,
Canada down shot.
Moneymaker went down earlier on in this same game. We saw Polarize, the one that took down Snazy, leaving Podesai by himself. At least he's above the damage threshold for now, but quickly falling below. Now he knows he's going to have to try to find and catch somebody off guard, because otherwise he's going to have no choice but to try to get in the box. Slowly but surely biding his time, trying to make sure that he makes the right play. And this is an opportunity for him to really rise to the occasion by himself. And with Storm Surge shutting off for now, that at least allows him to breathe, restabilize himself in that position. Edgy goes down outside of zone. It wasn't a knock. So Duke and Edgy are also out of this game. Action is moving so fast, and we're not even into the placement points yet.
The zone pull, a little bit brutal for some of these teams as it just keeps getting closer and closer to that edge side. And again, for Agers and Kanata, get another opportunity to see from where we last left off with them. Kanata's got to be careful with this rocket ram on the landing.
セインさん、いや、いるいる。セインさんたちいる。目の前見て。セインとデータスいるよ。セインさんとデータさん下いる。下いた。残ってる残ってる。あと、ユマさん、ユマさんいいよ。
Unfortunately for him, only has those mini shield potions, won't actually get an opportunity to get full shields. And for Agers, this is even worse.
Yeah, he only has 23 HP, doesn't have time to sit back. Nice shot's gonna be fired. That is a huge siphon and refresh for Agers, because now he's boosted up in the mats. He has a little bit more HP to work with. The flopper, the medkit he can use in game, and if Kanata can find a way to reunite, he has the minis and another knock onto QNDX. Agers doing what he did in their championship run. The siphon's gonna be picked up, but he has to get to zone. This is a 5-tick. Time is running out, and another medkit. Mirror
なんとか命が。
He's trying to do what he can to make it across, but this hill phase is just so problematic still. The Medmiss plus the Med
キリ間に合わない。あ、遠いな。
just doesn't have the mobility that he'd be hoping for. With so many teams having already pushed in, he might just barely make it in the nick of time. He's got to find another site opportunity, but even just making it this far is more than enough.
I feel like I heard him on stage. Don't worry, Kanata, I'm coming. Don't worry. Medkit being used, minis being dished out, and they're back into the game. The resurgence from day one as we get a replay from Clicks and Epic Will. One of the biggest teams everybody came to see. They get aggressed on due to Storm Surge, and they shine bright. Storm Surge is not a problem from them as they pick up 2 eliminations.
Check out where Bryce and Chubbs are at, a little bit more isolated than some of these other teams that are trapped inside of all this congestion. Mr. Savage and Badil, though, from Rags or Riches at the beginning of this game, they have done a decent, if not a phenomenal job at putting themselves into a comeback situation.
Some of these teams we were asking, do you got what it takes to get your ticket onto the battle bus? What about the roller coaster this team's going through from down the mountain, across the rivers, over towards Naughty Nets? I think best case scenario, honestly, Taco, is it going south, continuing on towards that island. If it goes back on over to the west, this is going to be a nightmare for anybody that doesn't have maps as Clicks is using the last little bit that he does have left, but he finds another elimination on the ping.
These perfectly timed rotations from Clicks, managing to find these players who are looking to just find that final push inward. But again, this is the beauty of being able to play from that backside of the zone. Still, Clicks, Epic, trying to be careful, and we are getting a little glimpse here of a team that's momentarily on high, whether or not this is the able to hold this is a different question entirely, but for the time being, they look well situated to carry themselves into the top 10 at least.
Even though they have high ground now, they might have to wait for some of those teams below them to try to build that allow them to save some resources, save some maps, and make their way across the roster once more. Podesai, 131 below the damage threshold. Only a big pop to his name. So right now he's peeking through the cone. He's trying to just get as much information as possible. Where can I get this damage? But time is running out. He continues to fall well below that threshold as Savage picks up another elim. Vadil goes down, but it's actually Epic Well who falls to Mr. Savage, trying to keep himself alive. Storm Surge isn't a worry, but it's the HP, it's the zone that's pulling away.
So unfortunate though, Savage gonna be unable to do anything in terms of helping out the deal. Simply has to watch, wait, continue their run. That flopper though, along with the crash pads, does a great job placing him into the zone. Mr. Savage moving through all the traffic, eating shots as well, but doesn't care in the slightest. He's just continuing to push forward. He's making his own path through.
It's not going to be the most healthy anybody in the lobby can be, but he's definitely going to give himself enough wiggle room to work with. His Click's now going to be a solo, probably one of the more prolific solo players in the game. He finds a knock on the head, but unable to finish it up. He gets taken out by Podesai.
Podesai as well. The fact that he's managed to stay this far into the game as a solo, you just know that he's going absolutely insane right now, trying to keep the run alive. Rocket rounds as well, destroying so many builds in the process. These players continue to rotate through, but that materials refresh is going so far, and it's actually Bryce and Chubbs now at the top of the lobby, but builds running incredibly low.
Yeah, multiple top 10 performances in the major this year. I think Bryce and Chubbs are one of the teams that are falling under the radar. They're ready to make a statement, just like Komet, but he runs out of time, he runs out of space, he goes down as his Medmiss runs dry.
Kanata, another mini, going to be popped. The patience. It's hard to be patient through all this chaos as well. It's so easy to get distracted and think, okay, this is the perfect time to strike. A drop down to the low ground here for Kanata. Recognize the fact that he's got some players directly above him. Still has a couple of mini shield potions he can utilize. Source, on the other hand, won't make it through. Cooper going absolutely nuclear with the back-to-backs.
Oh my god.
Cooper just won't let it go.
Shit.
He's actually got it.
Attention of Bryce and Chubbs. I thought it as well. I thought Cooper just stole away the game, but it's Bryce and Chubbs. I call them one of the most underrated teams falling under the radar this weekend. They played phenomenally to make it to this point, and they make a statement here in game one of the lower bracket. Frankie, how are they feeling?
How are you feeling? I mean, my friends up in the casting booth would like to know, so I will ask you first, Bryce.
I'm feeling good.
Are you feeling a little bit overwhelmed about the fact that you just took a victory royale here on land in Copenhagen?
Yeah,
めっちゃなん
I'm
か
nervous.
I can
ラッパー
understand
み
why
たい
you might be nervous. I do have a very scary face, so I'm going to come over to you, Chubbs. Talk me through the last moments of that game.
I don't know. We just took high and we won.
You took high. Okay, well,
that's
talk
it.
to me about the journey there. Did you feel like the zone was in your favor the whole time?
No, it wasn't at all.
Okay, well, how did you get around that situation then? How are you able to make the most of what maybe wasn't the most ideal situation?
Just we got surge and we had forecast, so we just went where the zone was.
There you go. Simple. Everyone hopefully listening here will find out how to win a victory royale on land thanks to these two. Just before I let you go, do you think you can overcome the nerves and pick up another victory royale today?
Yes, I think we can.
Brilliant. Well, you know what? Now you've said that, I think you can too. Copenhagen, please give it up for Bryson Chubbs.
You know, I thought the games yesterday were crazy. But game number 1 of the lower bracket
今の
does
シーン見てみ
not
ようかな
Players directly
A statement, just like Komet,
これ
but
でし
he
ょ
runs out of time, he runs out of space, he goes down as his madness runs dry.
Kanata.
0.75 秒でいきます 0.75
Mini. This is the perfect time to strike a drop down to the low ground here for Kanata. Recognize the fact that he's got some players directly above him. Still has a
順位で決める
though they were in the like toughest spot.
順位も遅いからいいやどうせ
he can utilize. Source on the other hand
これでしょ
won't make it
1
through.
枚やっ
Cooper
て
going absolutely
運んで
nuclear
後ろ見
with
た
the
時に無理だったのヘッド
back-to-backs
で
here. Cooper just
いや
won't let it go.
最後相手が打ち勝ったんだあそこで
That point on, they were just riding out all of their materials, all of their heals. I think at one point there in that end game, I think I saw Bryce with a fishing rod. You know when you're carrying a fishing rod in the
2マッチだ
last
け見たら今日終わり
zone?
ま
Things
す
are
じゃあ
looking rough, but it didn't work out too bad for him, did it?
Absolutely. Game 1 here on day 2, the victory royale. I'm sure for them, they're feeling a little overwhelmed. And now they just got to bring it back. More of what you do in game number 2. Now let's take a look at these standings. I want to see how this went. Now, of course, there's actually so much to talk about. Really quickly, let's highlight the duo in second place there, Cooper and Miro. We saw Chubbs and Bryce. It almost could have gone the way of Cooper, but riding as a solo rider, still a second place after the first game. That is a way. We hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'm really, really glad you brought
い
these
やでも
guys up
25に入っ
because
てればいいか
yesterday
ら
wasn't too great for Cooper and Miro, and I love the way that Cooper played that end game. Such a clutch moment for him, and paired up with Miro, when these guys got together, I think a lot of people were asking questions. Wait, Miro is playing with Cooper, this up-and-coming player, Miro himself? And I think Cooper has just proved why he deserves to play with Miro, a player of his caliber. He's clutching in the big moments on the big stage, and it didn't quite work out in a victory royale for them, but what a start. That's the exact start we want to see from them to improve on yesterday.
I got to point out, though, it was close, right? Cooper finding the one
Kawaii.
knock, I was like, wait, it's doable. I think one more second, I think he would have found that other than
メロかなこれメロ
Mad close. Another duel we have to highlight. Agers and Kanata being uncontested. Man, the way they navigated that last little bit of endgame there, I just love how kind of brave Kanata went. Like, I don't know if brave's the right word. Maybe just like crazy, right? Like, let's just rocket ram on the side of this kind of cliff and we'll just see what we find. But once again, man, you're going to do what you have to do. And for him to have this start, this is the surge we need.
You're going to say, oh, the way that they traversed the end game. No. This was a Kanata solo clutch. But let's not forget, Agers had his own just right before this and actually made his way all the way to Kanata. So it was almost like they were kind of like passing the torch. Right? It's like, oh, okay, I done solo clutch. Now you go ahead and get a couple more points. Third place. And I want to point something out. Look at the top 4. Look at the NA representation at the top of the leaderboard right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing good. Good to see. I like it. You know, they're doing very good. I mean, we still have time. 4 more games to go, right? I have big expectations of people like Janice and Reason. Even, can I remind you, who took control of the island in that last game? Was it an EUGO? Yes, it was. I'll give you the answer straight away. And that was something that I was really surprised at as well, that island contestation.
Yeah.
So many more teams went up for it, it seemed like, but no one wanted to go all the way and try and claim it. It was Hen and Vasquez who ended up saying, you know what, this is ours. It doesn't matter about anyone else. I think everyone else kind of like half went for it and think, you know what, I'm going to...
この人たちは日本人では読み取ることができないような英語を話しています。
And then suddenly it's like you've got Snazy Podesai rifting on up. You've got people kind of hopping over old builds. But why did no one want to take this fight, right? If we're all going to take and burn our resources or do whatever we have to get up there, why did we just give that to them for free?
You know, me and Minnie, we were watching sort of the west side of that zone, and there were so many teams that actually ended up being congested on that side of the zone, which means that all of these teams that were actually up on the Rift Island, they were happy with their position because they were getting free damage, right? Free shots off on so many teams below them. So why would you go ahead and take the fight? I mean, sure, you know, the capture point is worth those 15 points, but when you can get that much surge and actually traverse it into the end game, you might as well take that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And we were speaking about these sort of storm surge strategies. We often see teams build storm surge strategies depending on how the lobby works. Who's landing where? How can we rotate and get as much damage as we can? These guys haven't had very long at all to prepare for this, right? They haven't had a time at all. So I'm expecting some more drama in the next few games.
Absolutely. And why don't we hear from the players themselves? They have their own thoughts on mid-match objectives. Take a look.
The mid-match objectives are
まあ絶対子供たちいたから映すのやめたんだろう。
between you winning and you getting top 5.
Big risk sometimes, but if you're good at fighting, it will make the game so much more easier.
For the first objective of the game, the forecast tower, there's a lot of reward. I mean, you get 2 slurps, a gold AR, and you can see the future zones.
Você pega uma torre que ela vai ver safe, né? Então isso é uma vantagem tipo ridícula. 電波塔はまあ取ったら1位取れるぐらい重要です。 If we see that it's not a big risk, then we go for it.
It makes the game so much more easier if you get it.
But there's definitely a risk. You might lose all your mats, your heals, and you might even get eliminated.
The Rift Island made the game more interesting for the teams that are going into endgame and know they don't have a lot of loot.
It makes the game more aggressive.
The risk is that many people go for it because of the points.
ベンジフィッシュの子供
8 to 10 people on one island all fighting in one really close area, and it gets really hectic.
The fights at the mid-match objectives are going to be intense because of the high reward, but it can be the downfall of some players if they get eliminated.
It gives you max mats, it gives you everything that you need to win the game. The sacrifice is that everyone can see you if you're up there.
It's a finals lobby and people are probably going to be scared to go for it.
Towards the later games, like when people really need that jump, if they're trying to place as high as possible, the reward will be a lot higher, but the risk is also high, so we'll see how it turns out.
命をかけて電波塔はい。
ここだけ読み取れる。
Those 15 points could just make or break your entire game. And that could be the difference between 10,000, 100,000, even 500,000.
Se você ganhar o campeonato, você muda a tua vida, literalmente.
So it's definitely something to prioritize and something that we're looking to play.
この人たちはみんな電波塔を取れば勝てると言っております。
The 2 takeaways. Forecast towers willing to put their lives on the line for it, and if you get the forecast towers, you're probably going to end up like Bryson Chubbs there in game number 1, finding their first victory royale of the day.
Yeah, and they got 3 points for it, even though it was Hen and Vasquez that were able to get the 15 for Rift Island. That's just showing overall how important it is to plan around these things, but also have a plan B just in case things go wrong. But the right thing is game number 2, and it's about to start now.
Day 2, match 2行きましょう。
Game 1 did not disappoint in the slightest. Game 2, I expect to deliver all the same, if not more. As these teams, some of them getting a little bit of a taste of what that 50-50 contest is like at the start, but we definitely saw plenty of teams taking things relatively slow, really just trying to prioritize their resources off rip. But for FKS, Adapter, they want all of Kenjutsu to themselves. Suns nearly E-land on the drop, and yet Suns and Nan just barely gonna manage to get out of this one.
Yeah, and it almost looks like they want to chase him down. They're over wondering, was that bush there before? Is that something new? Shots got fired through. Just a sliver of HP left. He finally gets knocked down. Forget looting when we could pick up these early game eliminations. that kind of
角の
leaves
キ
him
ルは
on
ちょっと
all by
難しいか。
himself. But luckily he was able to get across to the other side of Kenjutsu's
これ
crossing.
詰めんの
But
か
the
な。
timer is on. He only has a certain amount of time before he can get that reboot card back.
詰め
Luckily
ない
the
の、
Suns
シ
hasn't
ール
been
ド
fully
ないし
eliminated just
削れて
yet.
るから。
So the timer actually hasn't started just yet.
But
あ、いい
surely
え。
Anon knows
ちゃんとヘッ
Suns
ドショット、ブロ
really being toyed with at this point by Adapter and FKS. FKS will
お、ユマさんたち
finish
戦う
off
もしか
that
して。え、
elimination.
初動かぶってるよ。
Wants to
マネーモン
collect
キ
the
ー。
siphon and the
お
four
金大好き
elimination
な
points
猿。
to go with it, but meanwhile, Hall of Whispers could definitely see some action here. Depends on how Yuma and Jamon actually want
ユ
to
マ
play it out.
ユマユマ
Right now, Yuma, Jamon doing their best to just try and get some materials going because you can't really have a box fight if you don't have any boxes to build.
Yeah, and it looks like Moneymaker and Fanai
いや、エムさん、ザジさん、クリックスもいるやん。エピカオイルもいるね。
Still getting things going, waiting for it to flow.
頑張って
Clicks
く
and
れ。
Epic Well over on the other hand, Mega City. They had a phenomenal first game. They sit inside of the top 25 after
どうなるんだろうな。
one game. If they can keep this pace going, we will see them on the
すげえ、
grand
特殊メガネ
finals
だ。
championship Sunday.
あれ、
Only time will
色と
tell
か
though,
変わん
because
のかな。
they're actually split up right now. They are so far split to do different buildings of Mega City.
いや、ザジ
Zazie
さん、エム
and
さん。
Aim, Batman, Booga, and Rapid are the two other teams. Nobody
めっ
really
ちゃ削
wanted
って
to
ね。
push and contest just yet, but
これワンチャン詰めることあ
Moneymaker
る。
and Fanai just
あ、これ行
end
く
up
な。
going down
これ
low
行く
to
な。
the low ground, getting chased by Jamon and
これ行く
Yuma,
な。行
back
け。
up into a corner. Very little options
行け。
to work with, and this is
頑張れ。
exactly what
行
you
け。
were talking about. These box
引くの
fights,
か。
they
引いたふ
need
りか。
materials in order to be able to come
周り
out
見
on
て。
top, because
いい
eventually,
よ。
if you didn't farm up as much in the early game, you will run out quick.
頑張
And
れ、
that's
ジャイ
when
ムさん、
they'll
ユマさん。
strike.
It just seems as though Yuma and Jamon, they've got their prey
ここ行
perfectly
く。
trapped here. Fanai,
で
Moneymaker.
も一人いな
This
い
is
な、シー
quite
ル
a
ド。
sticky situation. Backs literally against the wall here. Might have an opportunity. Moneymaker does have that
いや、
rocket
相手
ram
ら次第ないな、
available.
これ。
Keep in mind
いい
the
よ、ナ
height
イ
that
ス。
it can cover, but at the same
いいね。
time, Fanina as well. But they'll still be relatively exposed if they do try to
今シーズンの
utilize
武士
these
使ってく
rocket
あたりいいね。
rams. There is still a chance that Yaemon or Yuma might
い
potentially
や、
look
こ
to
の人た
take
ち
them
よ
out
4
here.
制だよ。いけいけいけいけ。
Them using the EMP grenades, trying to just at least sniff off some of the
あ
shields. Not very many left in their back pocket. Snazy,
Snazy
Otis
か。
Eye over on the other side of the map.
M8 って
Looting up
チームなんか
pretty
来てるよ
safely.
ね。
Not too many teams contesting them. Maybe one north of Shattered Slabs. You know, King and Phaser are over on towards their left in a double contestation on their south towards Relentless Retreat. And they're kind of using all the time that they have to their advantage, so that way they can have these safe rotations. That way they have an opportunity to play out, and they're going to be one of the first teams rotating out of that side. And Taco, I think we've seen this strategy before. FHD and Hero might be doing something that only one region has done so far on the weekend.
え、チーミング？
Zagu and Peppo are somewhat of an inspiration, one might say, as far as this strategy is concerned. And we can see Bing trying to crawl away here, but that's just not going to be a possibility. The damage is being farmed. We talk about surge strategies all the time, and hey, if it works, it works.
Right now, he's got to be able to capture the other one, but it does look like Gon was able to kind of get his teammate eliminated. No free surge for you anymore, and he's hoping they move off that spot so that way he can get the reboot card back. Get his teammate back into the game like we saw so many times in game one. And we saw how fruitful it was on those
あ、チョコちゃん、いやいや、い
They
らっしゃ
were
いいらっ
able to
しゃ
get
い。
far into the
あのね、
game.
俺の気まぐれ
Kind of
気まぐれ
made
だ
it
から、
worth their while to
本
go
当に。
for such a risky attempt
あ
at
の
that.
言うとかボロカスに言う
Guys in
し、おもろい
split up,
おもろいかわ
looting
からん
up,
けど。
safe as can be, but Hen is doing the same thing, and nobody is nearby, at least for now. But the zone is going to force these guys over towards the east, maybe a little bit towards the north.
これ
So
さ、やっ
eventually
ぱな
they're
んか
going to run
墓にし
into
か聞
some
こえないんだよね。
Hey, look, we talk all the time about players splitting off from each other, looking for opportunities. One might be prioritizing farming out resources, the other looking to try and secure as many surge tags as possible. But when you are this far apart from your duo, you have to be certain that you are not going to have some unexpected companies spring up on you, because if that's the case and you're not able to actually provide that backup that you would like, it could be a very quick downward spiral before you have a chance to recover. King and Phaser, on the other hand, though, they're just looking to stick together. Death and Dying. Looks like they wanted this fight.
It's a bird, it's a plane. No,
ここ
it's
来るの
just
か
Death and Tahi trying to go up
これ
and
だったらマジ
over.
キモとか
King
言っ
and
てそうだな
Phaser didn't work out. They land right at the top of that
え
mountain.
アジア勢
along
めっちゃ
with
出てる
them.
よ
Shots going through the build for Phaser.
ステインで出す
Him and King,
ユ
they've
マジャ
already
エモ
had
ン
their chance yesterday to qualify.
ラルさんと誰かとビッキーシーさんと誰かビッキーさんと海外の人とザジさんとエムさん5チーム出てるね。で昨日ザゴーさんとペポさんポニーさんとラークさん通った決勝明日の決勝
Other teams already starting to take note of this battle that started to break out just outside of Shattered Slabs. And for Death and
結構詰めてきたけど一旦落ち着いた感じだね。
well, they've got a couple more problems than just each other to deal with right now.
All around the map.
あ、マジ
Trying to rotate.
世界大会の配信はこれ俺で見よう。コルスさんとかじゃなくて俺と見よう。ディスコつなごうか。暇だから。めっちゃ暇。
Maybe even
一人で
saying
ボケてるからね。
something that they can work with so they can hold their spot and gatekeep these players out. But Pixie, you can see him just putting some shots, not finding too much success.
おお、めっちゃいい勝負一緒や。
Very many shots either, but
ブーガは昨日通ったんじゃないかな。いいよ、いいよ。クラッチかクラッチかクソ M、クソ M。ナイス EM。これ別パ来た。きつすぎ。いいよ。うまい。右がうまい。ムキムキパパ、シェロン来てるよ。EM、ナイス。シェロン EM。いいね、これブッシュでかいね。シェロンさんたちいいね。
to build with for his escape there. Nice utilization of the crash pad as well, just not trying to waste any further time. He already secured the clutch that he needed to for his teammate, and it's definitely early enough that he could certainly look for a reboot opportunity there onto Vico. We'll have to check back in with them later on.
あ、違う違う、これなんだっけ見るやつはあるだけで、あれはないよ。選手たちはないよ。
A little tower temporarily close to their initial drop spots, try and see if they can tag anybody else who might be in the middle of their loop path. But as far as Polarize is concerned, when there's a bush at the top of a building, you know that building's not initially supposed to be there, Jacob.
マジありがとう。だって俺プロゲーマーだから今。おいごめん、痛そう。誰と見ましょうで。いやね、なんかめちゃくちゃフォートナイトやりまくってたらね、ラグくても勝った、ハルチとかにも勝っちゃったから。あ、そうそう、感染者が影設定オンで見てる。そうそうそう。いいよいいよ。これビッキーじゃねえべ。うわ。
5 eliminations, by the way. Already 20 points collected for Skits and Sora. If you add that with a relatively decent placement, and these guys could be having the game too. To really wipe themselves on the leaderboard. But the fact that they've already seen so much action, I'm curious as to how well it's going to translate in terms of how well they're going to be able to prioritize their positioning, because you have to expect that their surge damage is definitely well above the threshold.
Yep. And phenomenal performance to start.
いや、わかる。アリケンがさ、配信してほしいよね、マジで。フェニシスとか全部。あのデブが配信しないと、マジでなんかフォートナって感じしないもん。あいつあれで生計立てたくせによ。やめたかな、あのマヨネーズで。あんま言わない方がいいけど。でもさ、アリケンさ、痩せないと死ぬくね？ガチで。痩せないと死ぬよ、アリケン。なんか、あれで。
Still, NA definitely looking like a decent amount of Lanimals for the time being, and
メタボリックシンドロームで。
keep that trend going. Keep in mind their day one certainly
だ
did
から
not
俺
go
アリ
the
ケン
way
さんには
that
さ
they
や
would
して
have
さ
hoped by any means.
もう一回フォトナ配
The
信して
fact
ほし
they've
い
even made it this far is
だ
already
よ
a
な
testimony
アリケン
to
配
the
信おもろ
fact
いよな
that day two was definitely looking better
わ
than
かるわ
yesterday's.
ディスコつないでね
Well, it's going for them.
いやガチ
This
で好
time
きだった
around,
俺も
Kanata and Agers off the drop, uncontested, but quickly moving around. With the zone pulling towards the east side yet again. It's only a wonder what happened and why they made an opposite decision of what they made last game. But I trust them. They're the ones who made it here. I'm the ones just in the stands. As Kaizen and Clement, they're not too far off where Kanata and Agers once just were. They're trying to hope. I think right now the strategy is to get as much surge as possible with a lot of teams that are rotating in from the south, that are rotating from the western side. And that way they could probably rotate later on in the game. They could probably be one of the first ones now that they don't have to worry about it. But for now, they're just getting their loot cache, just trying to go ahead and
サチさん
shield
たちダメージ
up.
食らってんな
Ready
あれ
for
エイ
this
ムさんは
next rotation as
サチダウン
Ozzy
してる
does go down the top of Mega
マジか
City. He gets surrounded by both Source and Yumi. And Aim's the
やば
one
い
that's trying to
エイムよ
disengage. In the distance, another team on top of Mega City just trying to get their surge themselves. He has plenty of heals to work with. My only worry is going to be that men miss the
うわエイムさん
HP.
小じきにされたな
Zone
相
is
手
going to
の
be pulling forward, so he only has enough
エイム
time
さんじゃねえザジさん
for
だ
so much.
This array of heals, though, that aim just keeps conveniently strolling through. You almost have to wonder if this was initially somebody else's base center over at Mega City. I mean, when you have several different teams that are choosing to prioritize landing there, you have to expect that players are going to be trying to accrue as many of those shield potions as possible, so that way they can maintain a good height positioning to look for those earlier surge tags. So
戦ってるムキムキファイト知らん
not so much so here at the creepy compound.
キル取れるよムキム
See
キファイト
Crisp under a decent amount of pressure.
いいよ
Head down overview, but it's going to be Shalon and MK Papa that are making the first strikes.
なんかタワーとか言ったらアウト月曜日のタワーみたいなあんまそんなねおっぱい配信でもないからあんま言えんわタワーとか木揺れてんじゃんって言ってタワーみたいだねって言おうとしたけど結構木入るわそしたら
They could keep that base as theirs. Look elsewhere for Surge. Spot some teams trying to go for Rift Island. You saw them flying through the sky like majestic eagles. King and Phaser are trying to be one of the first ones there. They almost get beat to the punch by Moneymaker. And down goes King.
He's 100% beat them to the punch, along with F9. Those two probably not going to waste any time as far as trying to actually base up around that capture point on the Rift Island. They'll also have the convenience of being able to get that overhead view of all these teams underneath. As far as MK Papa is concerned, though, able to spot out the player across the way. It's going to be Miro. And Miro, Cooper, we saw them last time, kind of hovering around this Rift Island. They know that there's going to be a decent amount of players kind of taking note. Basing it all off of how game one went so far. And with that in mind, Miro and Cooper, they definitely were able to get some tags in the process.
Nobody really contested Rift Island this time around.
俺もやりたくないもん
It could be a possible 15 free points for Moneymaker and Fnayan. They're going to secure
なん
that
かイメージ高いから
and all the loot that does come with it. Pen and Basque were the other
なんか
team
見
in
てる
game
方が
one
楽しい
to
んだよ
make
ね最
that
近
one come true, but this time
俺もちょっと
things
さ
have
も
gone
う
a
老化してる
whole
のかなって
different way. They're below the storm surge threshold, slowly falling farther down. 63 below though with nice shots. I think Basque, he got the rocket ram out.
マジでさ英語の解説やめてほしいんだよね日本語にしてほしい英語わかんないから
Ready to have a crash landing. First one goes in. Second one lands right next to him, but a couple of shots land onto Hen on his way there. That's going to slow things down just a little bit, and that could be a blessing in disguise for King and Phaser, because now they have a chance to stabilize.
アリケンの動画見ようかなアリケンこっちもしたら好きなんだ
I mean, you spot a great opportunity to actually look for an elimination process, and yet on the way over, you're immediately lit up. There's just no such thing as a free rotation in these types of lobbies.
OK 今キングの画面が映っていますキング編集してあとロケット避けていくこれまあ神判断ですねはいまあ大谷さんが出てきたおそこで角度を当ててうまい
Left side peek opportunity.
Peek,
Doesn't
nice
necessarily
peek.
connect though like he would have wanted
I
on the
like he
Hen,
would
but
have
Hen and
wanted-
Bash, they're under enough pressure as is. It's Moneymaker. Keep in mind, he was the one at the top of Rift Island. Seems as though Moneymaker and F9, they're ready to play with everybody else on the bottom.
Yeah, they thought they had a line of sights in their favor to where they were directly under Rift Island. Somehow Moneymaker did find that angle. Like I said, it just takes some time for a player like him to try to heat up. His head's now stuck by himself. Lucky thing for him. He's above the damage threshold for now, but he knows that it's right around the corner. Gonna be haunting him like it's Halloween. check a little bit of a replay here. Way
下からの突き落とし
trying to put the pressure
刺さ
onto
った
both
おっと
Bully
ダウン
and Shadow. Bully gets knocked first.
Oh.
There might even be 7-man
ある
trying to steal the
7-man
loot away.
That is so tough for Bully and Shadow. They are just pincered between
位
two
置取りがい
separate
いですね
teams.
いやでもこれ
How
結構
are
き
you
つい
really
ア
meant
ンチ
to
が遠
box
い
fight when
目
you
の前
got
狙っていくのか狙わない
multiple
狙わない
directions that you have to be
素
checking
晴らしい
for
判断いい判断
against
いい判断
multiple teams?
Oh my
Definitely
goodness
not
oh it's
the way that Bully would
83
have hoped to go down,
Pinch
but as far as
match.
Way and YKZ are concerned,
あマジ
they're
買
definitely
ったよ俺
happy
FNC スキン
with that collection of an
あれ
elimination.
すぐ買った
Now continue
つ
trying
か
to
さ
press their way
3700
forward.
V バックスみたいなのあったの今日
Seems like
450円や
they're,
った
they're trying to avoid some other players in
なん
the
でそんなないの
process. Gotta be wary though at all times.
はいはい
Clicks an epic whale.
惜しい
Quickly
やばいめっ
rotating
ちゃ
out
釣れてるやばい
of Mega City this time around, or at least in
めっ
comparison
ちゃいいめっち
to
ゃいい
their competition that does
Good
land over on that side. Firing shots off into the distance.
ビコですねビコ
Instantly closing the cover. Doesn't want to get caught out, even though he wants surge. He doesn't want to give up any free surge either. And you can see Pink. He
Batman
escaped almost getting eliminated early on in this game, and he found a way to get
チョ
Vico
コちゃんね
back.
あ
But
の
it
ス
came
レッ
as a
ツっ
cost
てわかるか
taco.
な
They're below
前ア
the
リスト
damage
組んだ人
threshold when it comes to storm
あれと
surge.
ブーガー組ん
Luckily
で
for
ね
them,
多分
it's
昨日
only
通ったんだ
6. That is barely anything. They just got to breathe on
ラグそう
another team, and now they're hot on the heels of Batman Booga. This is the opportunity that they're trying to take in order to climb above the threshold before they fall too far below.
It definitely won't take much for Pink and Vico to get themselves
Lago
above
y una
that
cosita.
damage threshold, but at the same time, I'm looking more so at their materials. Not very many builds for Vico to
Wow.
work with, and again, that's
リプレイで
largely
見ても
due
こ
to
んな
the
良かっ
fact
たら
that
めっちゃ
they
楽に
had to go for that remove ban opportunity. They didn't actually have the time
Oh,
to
yeah.
look to farm up as well as they would have liked.
So you got
Given
that
they're under
stick,
earlier.
oh my
Vico, he's
God.
also going to eat too much damage
Oh
in the
my
process.
God.
They're trying to make it into the edge of zone, but it's just being safeguarded by so many teams
Oh
already
my
set in
goodness
place.
coming aim
Wow.
Good
Nice shot
aim.
from Pink onto Rapid. Batman Booga there to save the day and instantly going for that revive. Judged by the
マジか。
slurp juices
そ
as
んなレベ
well.
ルで好きなんだ。
Waste no time to
ブ
heal
ーガは
on
ね、
back
そこま
up
で
as
しない。
fast as possible. And that
俺が意
allowed them
識
to
し
get
たのは
surge,
一
even if
回
they
意
might
識し
not
たことあ
have
るのは海外勢
necessarily needed it. But for one team down below
そし
surge
た
to
ら
another,
プロ
Clement
ゲー
and
ムは倒せるようになったん
Kaiser,
だ
they're
け
in a
ど
whole different situation
一
because
時期やん
they're
なくなった瞬間
surged
に
now
下手くそになっ
active and they're taking so much damage and all the heals have finally been
一時
used.
期さ
So time is running
エ
out.
イペックスばっかや
Lucy
った
goes
時期
for a
に
pink. Nice
があっ
shot's
たじゃ
going
ん
to be landed. Even he
あの
is
時期
below
にも
surge.
う意識
These
す
are
るのや
two
めてて
teams below surge going at it. Clement tries to go ahead and bull rush into the box. He gets denied
これ
that
当ててんのできれば
opportunity.
ダメージ
Lucy with only 20 damage to
あ、これ
do. They box up Clement. They get that elimination and a
めっちゃいい
huge
ダメージ
amount of damage to boot.
It was
これ
just
で
a
も
moment of desperation there from
いけない
Clement,
か
but what other options did we realistically
きついな
have? And even for
あ、ナイス
Steno and
上に
Lucy,
だ
they
ね
couldn't
誰
let
か知らんけど
that elimination, and it's still just barely
Mm.
going to be enough to put them above that
もう
damage
眠い
threshold.
から
This lobby is moving and not in the direction that they would have hoped.
This time around, you see a lot of
してん
players,
の
even if they're above, it's not by much. It's not a feeling of comfortability whatsoever.
日本人どう
They
なんだ
know
ろう
these
まだ生きてる
opportunities will continue to come later on the
え、
game.
スカシ入ってる
Kaizen is able to do some damage
God.
before falling. Almost taking down Lucy. Steno there to save the day as well. 27 above though. Slowly but surely climbing. But 98 in a lobby like this isn't much at all. But they have to just take it one step at a time, one foot in front of another.
Suns and Anand, though, the fact that they're still making this work after how this game has
Fusion,
started
nice
off
fusion.
for them is definitely some pretty good stuff here. Saw them talking about it earlier on socials. They're going to put Oshi
ラ
on
グ
the
すぎ
map.
だよね本当
And
に
that seems to be the intent here in game number 2. But first, they've got to make sure they're able to acquire the position that they need to be
ユマさんジャイマさんい
in
る
the
ね生きて
first
る
place.
やばいやばいやばいあ
It's no bueno. Ooh.
Oh my
Storm
god
Surge
Some Surge
and Mr. Savage
Victory
and the deal
Wonderful
targeting them together. Daptor's gonna fall.
回線と性能ゲーな
As
本当だ
much
よ
heals as he can, but Badil and Mr.
その
Savage,
通り
they don't want to let these 4 points and all that loot go out of their
俺も
way.
回線悪
They're
すぎて
trying to
さ
push
このゲーム
themselves
今日やる
into
気
the
なかった
box,
の
leave no option for their opponent. He's doing what he can to dance
Wow,
around. The
oh my
elimination is
god,
gonna
good
go
to
through
aim.
regardless.
バ
Even
ン
though
バ
they
ッ
did
ク
take
マ
some damage
はい
along the way, they've got some heals. The
病気だろっ
exotic
て言われる
slap splashes to try
Oh
to
my
get
god Mr.
themselves back up to
Savage
tip-top
Good
shape.
aim
And they're
ショッ
gonna
トガン
need
ナイ
it.
スショッ
This
ト
rotation is going to be far. We're going over towards the
Mira,
side
crash
of
パッター
Brutal
持つね
Bastion for some teams that are already there, it's going to be
キー
easy.
ク、あ、ジャイマン
Everyone
さんの
else,
めっちゃ移
good
動して
luck
る。
to you.
Working your way up
電気代
elevation
高そう。
is certainly
電気代多分だけど1000万ぐらい。いやワンチャンもっとかかってるよ。1000万じゃ済まれてるの。回線東京ニューロ光 PC3090 積んだやつでお願いします。チョコちゃん持ってんの？東京に住んでんの？もう福岡から一人暮らしなったの？あ、やばい。大丈夫大丈夫。俺はもうちょっと大人になったら自分で稼いだお金で回線変えるって、PC もいいの買ってこの PC 今売ったのかなって。ガチで4090とかワンチャンさ、あと2年後だから5000番台出てくれることを期待して、もう一番最新の買ってで佐賀か。あ、買い取る？じゃあ俺ベロベロ舐めとくわ。じゃああげるときベロベロ舐めとくわ。今までありがとうっつって。いや嘘。いいよ、買い取る？俺が大人になってからの話やな。まだ18、19？なってから。そうやな。やっぱいいかな、言うな。6090買おうでいいですか？いや、チョコちゃん、俺がさ、大人になったらさ、俺いい会社ワンチャン行けるから、行ったら、ガチで、あれっすって、旅行行くべ。それは俺動くから。ガチで。さ、変態の友達にあげますわ。あれ、なっちゃんさん変態じゃないの？あ、あんましめた好きじゃないっすよ。うん、いいよいいよ。けどさ、ボーナスがさ、冬のボーナス1年目から70万だから、まあ30万ぐらいの旅行だったら、まあチョコちゃんだけじゃないけど、いろんな人連れて。私変態なの？いや知らん。まあでも、何かとは言わんけど、いじくってたら変態なんじゃない？これしか言わんわ。それじゃ言ったらもう俺強制売出みたいになるから。普通に逮捕だから。ただの雑談配信みたいになってるって。頑張って頑張れ。やばい。お前俺が好きな。何をってなんだ？どういうことだ？鈴木警察行きます。いや意味が分からんって。俺ペッパーあんの今。いや多分これショットガン当てたらペッパー状態になるってやつ。
It's all about just staying alive. You don't want to run into the wrong duo, maybe one that's on the other side of that storm surge threshold. He knows so many other teams.
日本人いる日本人。見ろ見ろ見ろ。あ、いるね。シェロンいるね、シェロン。生きし生きてる、生きし生きてる。あ、なんかいじるって言ってたから、まあそれはもうこれ言ったらバンされる、普通に。チョコちゃんも好きなやつ。あんま言えんよ。お恥ずかしい。口が滑っても言えませんわ。タババぐらいだったらいいけど。いいよ、シアノさん来てるね、下。
When you reach top 10, the other half are in the top 10. Podesai's just trying to get as many as he can, but he goes down. That's Clicks. That's Epicwell. Find the elimination. Clicks gets knocked. Epicwell knows to try to go ahead without him, but a misplay on the bounce.
アイさんの方が数いってそうだね。何かわからないけど。どういうことだ？セロンいってるね。ウキシいってるウキシ。
So far, they're consistently holding on to that high PH Zen. Kitos trying to tarp through some of these secondary high layers. So far, haven't managed to encounter anybody just yet. Agers, though, breaks through the veil that he doesn't want to find himself behind. That's going to be an elimination. Credit to Shalom is now PH Zen. Kitos try to throw forward, crash pad, get a shot up on height, but it's not enough. That actually break anything or knock down.
まだリフレードいらなそう。
Yeah, but they're one of the few teams that sees what's going on above. They can easily try to make that a target if it's something they want to do. Quanti and TK, you heard them qualifying in that last game thanks to a big clutch by Quanti, trying to keep that show on the road. Reason goes down. Jan is trying to make up for it. Elimination is going to be found.
Johnny,
runs out of
Noxie.
build,
Oh my
runs
god.
out of map. That's Noxie who's going to be able to take him down.
今日もう勉強やめて配信見ようかな。マジこの試合で終わるって言ってたけど。やる配信いいよ。日本人来てる。ああ、落ちちゃったね。これすらすら聞ける日本人の人すごすぎんか。それな。これ上なのかアンチ。いや、下か。オマイガー。あ、今スパグラしてたスパグラ。いや、もう疲れた。
As soon as somebody else does eliminate it, that is going to be TK who cleans that one up. Only one
寝
player
れて
here
それな
left
寝
as
れ
a
て
solo.
しまう
Quanti going
Oh my
around,
god
goes for the
How
high
did I
ground.
take
That's
Oh my
Kito's
goodness
final solo.
Oh
He
my
gets the ball
oh
out of his hands,
Big
but he
Goody
dunks
wonderful
on him as Cheatin picks up that elimination on the
Oh
TK.
my
Quanti
god
falls. Top 2 situation with Cheatin and Pixie being our final
Oh my
duo left
fucking
alive.
shit.
Kito's on the other hand using that early high ground to
Oh,
his
let's
advantage,
go.
but it only lasts for so long. Cheatin and Pixie take the game.
What a way to state your victory
Yo.
royale. Cheatin and Pixie wasted absolutely no time with taking over the low ground. And we've got Frankie
あ、ベンジフィッシーの申し子が勝ちました。
I do. To be honest, that looked like quite a calm victory from you, Cheatin.
はい、これはね、なんて言ってるかというと、ビクトリー取った時の気持ちどうですか？まあ、ジャストゲームでね、楽しかったと言ってます。
But it's not easy to take a victory royale in front of a very loud crowd here in Copenhagen. How are the nerves right now?
Feeling a bit nervous, but it's fine.
So how did you control those
ごめんなさい、何言ってるかわかりません。
when you were in those final fights?
Yeah, we just went full low ground and just won the game from there.
Do you think that low ground is a strategy that can work for you all the way to Sunday?
いや俺なんかさ、アニメのポーズとかしたいな、ここで。勝った時に。それからでっかい声で、チャーチャーチャーみたいなね。Let's go fucking shit, ブラーブラーみたいな感じで言いたい。
Any customs you'd recommend?
Noble.
外時間爆
Noble,
発。
there you go. Custom Noble, check it out. Guys, congratulations on making it this far. I do need to
どうし
ask,
よ
do
う。こ
you
こら
think
辺
you
で配
can
信終わっ
take
と
another
く？
victory royale?
もう一試合
Now
見
you've
ます、
already
皆さ
got
ん。
one.
任せます。
All right, well, I love the confidence. So, boys, I'll let you get ready for the next battle bus as we head back to the desk.
ブーガの優勝の瞬間、アナウンスにでもすれば。する？いいよ。
Thank you so much, Frankie. Congratulations, Cheatin and Pixie.
アイさんのフリービルド雑談。
Well,
優勝。Thank you.
That's an EU team. Yep. That's an EU
あ、白ってこと
team
も
that's
し
got
か
a
して。
victory royale. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. And it's going to be on top. It's fine. How do you feel about that one, Mini Miner?
Feeling great. I mean, what a win. What a way to close it out. Really happy for these guys as well. Of course, qualifying to that last
あ、俺が勝ったら当たり前やろ。なんでそこで負けとんのと俺言うたわ。で負ける意味がわからんって。いや、ほんと俺ビンタされるって。そろそろ。公式にビンタされるって。ビンタで済まんって殺されるやろ普通に。もう。泣いた？全米が泣いた
？There's no reason for us to continue to fight for low ground. Why don't we just go ahead and play this tournament? We have all of these splashes utilized. They did so at the perfect time.
なんでそんな言わんくてよくね？
Yeah, it really did. I love
別に俺勝ってから次の試合初動とかなくて。
Just knowing, you know what? Let's get into that zone. Let's close out this game because PHG and Kitos did a very, very good job there, taking height at a great moment. Didn't quite work out for them getting second, but great job from Cheatin and Mixi.
You talk about PHG and Kitos. I mean, I just want to take a moment here to highlight this duo. They take ultimate height here over ice. You can't build up there. You can't break. They're like, we're up here. I don't know what in the world Kito's is doing, okay? But did you all see that shot? He lands. He's going to fall. Builds are broken. He's coming down. It's either me or him. And for him, it was him. He is him.
Yeah, I mean, hitting that falling shotgun shot. We see them sometimes throughout Fortnite competitive history, but that one had to be like the best one, right? He was literally falling, ended up surviving 1 HP, but the only reason he had enough HP to actually survive the fall is because he hit that shot, got that side.
So disgusting.
これ
Here are
26
the
だよ。
standings as we take a look. Remember, if you're just joining us, we're looking for top
何時間ぶりの
25. That's where we
ことなんやろ。
want to end the day. Chubbs and Bryce picked up game number 1 in the VR. But with Pixie and Chin getting that one themselves, paired up with the elimination, suddenly up 13 places. Now, boys, how do we keep this momentum going?
いや、マジで。
Clearly is doing
今日のね、当たればね、いろいろ買いすぎてやばいわね。私、常時30。マジチョコちゃん。これね、今日マジで災難なんよね。これで世界大会いけるかな。
Yeah, they figured something out because every time I'm watching from like 5th to 9th, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these zones, they just keep pulling further and further away. Which usually in this type of meta, they have to use all of their builds to actually make some of their rotations. But Bryce and Chubbs just seem like they're always in such a healthy position when it comes to how many materials they have. I have no idea how they're doing it, but it is working out great. And then obviously the transition into the high takes. So good.
もっと頑張ってくださいとかさ。いけるって言われたらさ、これで自己満してさ、このゲームやめるから。俺いけるんだみたいな。
But as we're playing out these games, man, they look so on form. I mean, if they can bring that tomorrow.
一回さ、大人の音を聞かせてくれ、俺に。マス壊れてるし、裏で世界大会の回数みたいな流れてるから、愛さんの世界大会プレイヤーみたい。そう、それやる。世界大会プレイヤーになってみた。
We got to come to the Brazilian region to take a look at how this all
いや、ガチ、次の試合マジでどうしようか。
Once again, just disgusting play.
いや、次の試合どうする？マジ、いや、だよね。あそこ、マジサージやばいからさ、俺サージさ、稼ぐからさ、マジお願いするわ。マジなんかさ、回線悪くね？回線悪いな。なんだこれ、回線悪くね？本当に。なんだこのクソ回。やべ、どうしよう。待って、あと何分？大会まで。いや、あと10分しかない。10分もない。あれ、次の試合も10分にもない。ちょっと待って、会場にマウスとか売ってる？壊れたんだけど。どうしよう。マウス壊れた。どうしよう。あれ、売ってない？会場にマウス売ってない？ 待って、マジ練習とかいいからさ、マウス売ってない？マウス呼びない？ジャイモンさん、はじめまして。すみません、ちょっと予備のマウスとかないですか？ないですか？すみません、ありがとうございます。シェロンさん、すみません。3万円でマウス売ってくれませんか？そのマウス今使ってる。交換で。ダメですか？そうですか。濁ませに来ました。誰か、マウスプリーズ。マウスプリーズ。マウスプリーズ。ないか。くそ、誰が持ってきてるのかよ。予備ちょうだい、予備。誰か、予備。ガチで予備ないと。サイドボタン壊れたって。ごめん、殴っちゃった、ムカつきすぎて。やばい。すげえ、マジ好き？本当に？伸びそうだね。 世界大会やってみたとか言ったらさ、ちょっとこれさ、あとで切り抜きして動画にしようか。世界大会中にマウスが壊れてコビを打ったプロゲーマーの末路。私スイッチモンスター目指そうかな。いいと思うよ。鈴木さんに1回勝てればなれる。相当な猛者な気がするけど。猛者と次元超えるよそれ。スイッチのプロゲーマー、スイッチでプロゲームなれるって俺に3の1で勝ったら。
I just have one question. Do you think they would accept me? Can I be French for today or maybe even the weekend? Because that is absolutely insane. I'm across the stage. I got headphones on and I hear them like I'm sitting right next to them.
I'm sure they'd be more than happy to
鈴木選手、ヒーローインタビューです。あ、いつもヒーロー？ OK。翻訳。おって始まった。OK、クレイジーボーイ。OK、今から行きましょう。見ていきましょう。レッツゴー。ちょっと待ってくださいね、皆さん今。
This is officially the halfway point. Game 3, where teams will have their backs up against the wall if they don't reach inside of that top 25 or as close as humanly possible. I say humanly though, because some of these guys are playing like they're robots. They're like insane out of this world.
And hey, for some of these teams, keep in mind, entering game number 3, the cutoff threshold right now for that top 25 is looking to be 36 points. There is a decent amount of ground to cover, and game number 3 would be the perfect opportunity to try and find your place on the leaderboards if you haven't already.
Yeah, quick to the punch. Moneymaker getting one side of Mini Bastion. Getting some minis. At least got a silence pistol. You see the shield getting boosted up. The turret's getting tossed down. That's at least going to give them information if they cross any one of those paths. Moneymaker cuts off the launch pad, doesn't let them go anywhere. Shots are fired in from multiple angles, and Moneymaker strikes first. Even with the shield turret doing so much damage, he's able to do what he can, but it's blocked off. They went for it again. Jamon's getting trapped. It doesn't matter what help you have on your side, because Moneymaker comes out on top.
The 200 IQ play to place those codes preemptively. The moment that Moneymaker saw Yama make that initial escape, he was like, it's not happening again. Just a beautiful cutoff that leads to 2 easy eliminations there. I mean, when a duo self-isolates, what else are you really left to do? And Fanai Moneymaker making the most of that opportunity.
You can see Suns and Anon changing it up yet again. Said enough flying past Kenjutsu. We're ready to take it over as their own. FKS and Adapter, they have a little bit of elevation. Things are working out just as they planned up until this point. A little bit more loot towards the top, even finding the sharp tooth, breaking through the walls, possibly trying to cut off their path. So that way, even if they do try to escape, there's nowhere to go. They all had see each other there. Suns repositions. Anon does not, though. He gets caught off guard, but he's trying to draw them in. The turret there to spot him out. At least his position is going to be known. Suns doing what he can, trying to burst through those builds, but Adapter is there for the bait and switch. He gets spotted out as well. These turrets are giving so much information, but it's just not enough. Both Suns and Anon go down again.
That just looks so awkward for Suns and Anon. Suns especially, it seemed as though he hit that moment of hesitation for whether or not he should actually try to challenge up on that balcony, but hey, as far as Kenjutsu Crossing is concerned, that's not going to go Oshi's way in the slightest here. Opposite side of the map, though, at Single Suites, Peterbot and Byla recognizing the fact that they're under a little bit of pressure from that mountain just north of Brutal Bastion.
日本勢がね、取っていることを願って、良い子のみんなは出ましょう。で、俺みたいなクソガキはポルスさんとかのね、配信で、また見ていきましょう。はい。ということで、僕の配信はここら辺でね、2試合やったんで終わりたいと思います。お疲れ様、牛飲み。ありがとうございます。じゃあね、ありがとうございました。バイバイ。
And if this has any indication,